Hey y'all, hey, it's Treya Monet, back to y'all with another video. In today's video, you guys, we are going to be talking about how you can actually become the content creator, influencer of your dreams in the year 2024, okay? I'm so excited to dive into this video because I know a lot of you guys are thinking to yourself, the year is almost over. How am I going to make sure that I hit my goal of becoming this content creator, influencer that I set out for myself at the beginning of 2024? And I promise you, right now is the perfect opportunity in order for you to go through and do so. So before we hop into today's video, make sure you go through and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so you are always notified when I upload a new video. Let's go ahead and hop right on into it. All right, you guys, so just in case if you stumbled upon this video, I gotta go through and introduce myself. I am Treya Monet. I help content creators and also business owners grow and also thrive on social media by doing three things. I help you build, bond, and I also help you benefit. I help you build an online presence so you are able to bond with your online community, and then you are able to benefit through things like sponsorship opportunities, brand deals, speaking opportunities, and even increasing your revenue if you are a business owner. So I'm super excited about today's video, you guys, and I'm even more excited because your girl just went through and hit 105,000 followers on Instagram. If you guys don't know, I am super qualified to talk about this subject, you guys. I've gone through and completely changed and revolutionized my social media strategy on Instagram. And of course, going through and doing that over on TikTok as well. Make sure you guys follow me there too. But I say all of this to say that in the beginning of the year, I was really struggling to figure out how I wanted to stand out on social media. I was trying to figure out like what is going to be that thing that I can go through and do to kind of make it my own and kind of go through and just be a little bit more creative on social media. I felt like every time I logged in, I was scrolling through, I would always see the same videos. I would always see the same people doing the same things. And I never really seen anyone that really stood out to me. And I wanted to be that person that stood out to myself. I was always looking to see who I was inspired by. And there were very few people that kind of were doing this thing that I wanted to go through and do, right? Like the type of content I wanted to create, it was really difficult finding people that were doing it in the same realm and also the same type of style that I wanted to go through and do it in. So I went through and I just outlined it myself. I said, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. I want to make sure that my content is very addictive. I wanted to make sure that my content stopped the scroll while also still being very stylish, being very bubbly, still going through and having my own personality intertwined into it too. So here we are today, you guys. I started the year off with only 50. I'm not going to say only. I started the year off because 50 to some people is a lot, okay? But 50 to me, while going through and just being so stagnant in my growth journey, it kind of felt like only, to be completely honest, right? So I started the year off with about 50,000 followers to now today hitting over 105,000 followers over on Instagram. That is over 55,000 followers in only 9 months, you guys. 9 months, I gained over 55,000 followers on one platform, which is honestly kind of unheard of, and it really rarely happens to a lot of people, okay? Let's just be honest. And I want to go through and give you guys a couple of the tips and tricks as to how I was able to grow so fast. And I also want to give you guys tips and tricks today as it relates to how to become that influencer or content creator of your dreams and how to go through and get those brand deals. So as promised, I want to go through and start off by telling you guys that it is not too late, okay? Like I told you guys earlier in today's video, it is not too late to start becoming that content creator or that influencer. And I know a lot of you guys are like, it's September, it's almost October, the year is almost done. How can I go through and do it? Right now is the perfect opportunity. And let me tell you why. I used to work in influencer marketing and also PR, public relations. And right now is the season and right now is the exact time where brands are looking for content creators and influencers for Q4. If you guys don't know, the year is broken up into 4 quarters, right? You have Q1, which is January, February, March, Q2, Q3, and then Q4 is October, November, and December. Q4 is the opportunity in the time frame of the year that the brands have set out the most biggest budgets that you can go through and imagine, particularly for marketing. So a lot of times during the year frame, a lot of influencers don't make as much money than they do in the last quarter of the year. That's when they make a lot of their money during Q4. And I'm here to tell you, Q1 is where we make the least amount of money because brands went through and spent all of their budget, okay? So with that being said, is right now Q4, holiday season is coming up. You have Black Friday, you have Cyber Monday, you have New Year's. A lot of brands are going through and they are preparing. So right now is the perfect opportunity to make sure that you are knocking on these brands' door. And what I mean by knocking on their door is you need to position yourself as the content creator so these brands can go through and see their product inside of your content. That's the whole bar within itself, right? A lot of times we want to work with a lot of these different brands. We want to work with Fenty. We want to work with Sephora. We want to work with Target. We want to work with Home Depot, whatever type of brand that it is. And they cannot envision their product inside of your content. So you want to make sure that you do a good job within your content creation where brands can easily see their product or they can easily see their brand as a fit for the type of content it is that you go through and you create, right? So perfect opportunity right now for you to make sure that you are knocking on these brands' doors. Start pitching yourself to different brands. Start getting on their radar. Comment on their posts on social media. Do all of those different things because it's going to be easier for you to stand out when it comes to all of the different other creators out there, okay? So that's the first thing I want to go through and talk about is making it easy for brands to notice you and also making it easier for brands to see you as a fit for their brand, right? Because if I don't see you for a fit for my brand, I'm not finna knock on your door. I'm going to sister girl over here door, okay? Because she has the type of content it is that I know that her audience will be attracted to my brand, right? So while we're on the topic of like standing out and all of these other things, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is you have to create content that is going to make you stand out on social media. And I know a lot of people go through and they kind of bum themselves out about this topic. They're like, how can I stand out? What's going to be that thing that's going to allow me to stand out? Number one, the easiest way to stand out on social media is by having personality within your content, right? I had somebody write me a real nasty comment a couple weeks ago, and she was like, she does not enjoy the way that I speak in my content. Although she said, although you provide a ton of value, I don't like the way that you speak inside of your content. And I'm like, this is just the way that I speak, right? Like, I'm going to have some attitude. I'm going to have some sass. Like, that's just the way that I go through and I talk and I communicate. And you don't ever want to make sure that you never take your personality outside of your content, because your personality is what's going to make your content you, right? You are going to make your content. And you want to make sure that that's the number one way that you stand out is by simply just going through and being yourself. Other ways that you can stand out within your content is maybe your style of content. I do a lot of edits. I do a lot of very fun, interactive content. I'm always going to be popping out of the screen somewhere. I'm always going to be doing something crazy. And the reason why it's not only because I really, really enjoy the editing process of going through and doing all those things. I know my audience enjoys doing it too. They're always like, as soon as I'm scrolling on social media, I see something crazy, I know that it's Troya's content. And that's the best compliment that you can go through and receive as a content creator is when people are scrolling, they know it's you without even seeing the name above the actual piece of content within itself as well. So I say all of this to say is you have to figure out what's that thing that's going to make you go through and stand out. Is it going to be your cool edit? Is it because you add this really nice filter? Is it because you always say this one liner at the beginning of all of your videos? What is going to be that it factor about you that's going to separate you from everyone else within your niche? And then, of course, while we on the topic of niche, we have to go through and talk about the infamous topic of to niche or to not niche, okay? And in my personal opinion, you guys, I am always going to be team niche. And the reason why I'm always going to be team niche is because it gives you a sense of direction, and it also gives you a sense of community based upon the thing it is that you're talking about. One thing I want all of us to go through and realize as it relates to becoming this content creator or being this influencer on social media is people don't actually care about you until you give them a reason to care about you. And let me break this down just a little bit further. What I mean by this is people don't necessarily want to know a lot about you until it is a time frame where you are able to help them with something. So let me break this down just a little bit further, right? So when I first started my social media content creator journey, I started here on YouTube and I started creating a lot of videos about how to open an online boutique, how to start a fashion online business. I talked a lot about business in general. I talked a lot about content creation. I was providing my audience with literally so much value that they literally wanted to see more of who I was. People started requesting me to do vlogs. They started requesting me to do day in the life videos. They wanted me to share a lot more behind the scenes. They wanted me to get a lot more personal within my content. And I started going through and doing those things after I provided my audience with value. Newsflash, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but people don't want to see vlogs because they don't know who you are. So until you go through and provide your audience with content that's valuable, teaching them something, educating them in some type of way, helping them do something, it doesn't even have to be in the education industry, but just simply helping them do something, that's when they want to see more of who you are. Because now they're able to see, okay, she's helped me with something. Now I want to know more about who this person is, right? So I would definitely suggest to you guys that you have to niche down. And I want you to make sure that you pick a niche that is a category of maybe 3 to 4 different things, right? So me personally, the type of content that you're going to go through and get from me is I'm going to give you some fashion content every now and then. You're going to learn a ton about editing and social media. And then I'm also going to give you a couple different pieces of lifestyle content. You'll be able to do like day in the lives with me and different things along those lines, right? So you need to make sure that you have a niche group and not just one thing. I think that's the thing that gets people caught up sometimes, is that they feel like they have to go through and pick just one thing and one thing only, and they can only talk about that one thing. Or that's not the case, right? I was telling one of my clients earlier today that you want to make sure that you use your story on social media for one thing versus your feed is going to be used for a completely different thing. On your story, you want to use this as like your Patreon, your VIP community, where they're able to get a lot of behind the scenes of like who it is that you are. What is it that you do on a daily basis? What are you eating for lunch? Did you work out this morning? Where are you shopping? Are you traveling? That's all the stuff that'll be on your story, right? And then on your feed, this is your catalog. This is your portfolio that's going to go through and allow your audience and the people who are not following you be able to see a little bit more as it relates to what it is that you specialize in, right? So we want to think about that as it relates to growing on social media for sure. Next thing that we definitely have to talk about is quality versus quantity. What is the difference while you are growing and thriving on social media? So I have 2 different thoughts about this, right? On one end, I know a lot of people say, make sure your videos are really good quality instead of worrying about how many videos you post. I always get this question, how many times should I post today? First things first that I would definitely go through and recommend for you guys is to make sure that you are posting in a time frame that makes sense, right? I would go through and encourage no one on social media to post less than 3 to 4 times a week. You need to make sure that you are at least posting 3 to 4 times a week. I know a lot of people, when they're first growing, they're like, okay, I need to make sure I post every single day. I would 100% recommend when you are first growing on social media to try your best to post every single day. What this is going to go through and do is it's going to go through and allow you to make sure that you are extremely consistent on social media, so you don't have to worry about that consistency itch anymore. You're used to posting every single day. You're used to producing some form of content. It may not be the best, but you're at least used to being consistent. I think it's easier to become consistent than it is to produce high quality content. High quality content may just simply be you cleaning your camera, making sure you're getting some really good natural lighting, making sure you're upgrading your equipment, different things along those lines. I would say that stuff is just easy to do. Becoming consistent is a whole habit. It is a whole chore and a whole thing that you're going to need to go through and do in order to just adapt, right? So I think that I would rather you, as a new content creator, new business owner, to post every single day, even if it is not the best content quality. You want to make sure that your audience is growing with you. If you guys go to my very first YouTube video, it was not that great. If you go to my very post on Instagram, it was not that great. But guess what? I was extremely consistent, and I got better and I got better and I got better as time went through and it progressed. Next thing that I want to definitely shed some light on as it relates to growing as a content creator and as an influencer, and one thing that's going to get you the brand deals, that's going to get you the opportunity, and that's going to get you the exposure is making sure that you are building community and not worrying about your followers. And what I mean by going through and building community is you need to engage with the people who are already following you. And I have to put emphasis on already following you and not worrying about the new people. A lot of the times we are trying to get all of these new followers. We're trying to get all of these people to come in, all of these people trying to be a part of our community, but we are not taking care of the people who are already following us. Why are we so worried about getting new people when you ain't even take care of the 100 people you got following you were already? Does that make sense, right? You're trying to get 500,000 followers. You're trying to go through and get 20,000, 10,000 followers. But have you taken care of the 100 people? And what I mean by that is, have you engaged with them? Have you commented on their posts? Have you gone through and nurtured them as it relates to the content that they want to see? We are continuously wanting more. And that's just how we are as human beings, right? We are never satisfied. But I want you guys to make sure that you flex that satisfaction muscle, okay? Try to get satisfied with where you already are. Because what the thing is about it that I've noticed is that when we take care of the current audience, the other people who are in the audience are going to refer us to get more people to follow us. So what I mean by this is, you might have an audience. Let's say that you create content about makeup, right? So I'm a makeup content creator. I create content about beauty, right? If I am nurturing the audience that I currently have, which means I'm going on live all the time, I'm updating things on my story quite frequently. Every time that my audience asks me a question or they request a certain type of content, I'm always producing it. You are going to be that person's number one referral when they are going and someone asks them about that particular industry, right? So if someone says, oh my gosh, I need to find somebody to follow who does really great makeup videos, you're going to be the first person that person's going to go through and recommend, because you take care of the community. You take care of your audience. We continuously want more, but we're not taking care of the followers that we already have, y'all. It literally grinds my gears and it makes no sense. And it also helps us so much in terms of brand deals and opportunities and also revenue when you take care of your community. Brands no longer care about followers. They care more about engagement and they care more about community, because at the end of the day, they have to go through and do something that's called a ROI. Or ROI. I don't know why I said why. ROI, okay? They have to get that return on their investment. So if a brand is paying you $2,000 to create a reel, they are expecting to go through and make at least, they want to sometimes 5X that, right? They want to 5X that deal that they went through and they gave you. And the only way that they're able to go through and guarantee that that's going to go through and happen is if you have really great engagement and if you have a really great community. So make sure you are always nurturing the community that you already have. And then the last thing I want to definitely talk to you guys about is following the trends, but always putting your own spin on the trends, right? So for example, instead of just doing a simple get ready with me routine, try to see if you can add a little bit of your own little sprinkle into it. If you see a trend that's going on right now, such as like a trending audio, see if there's a different way that you can kind of take a different approach to that trending audio as well. I think that that's a really easy way to already stand out, is by going through and doing the trend, but also putting your own spin on it is going to go through and just make people think while they're scrolling like, oh, I really like the way that she did this. Let me go through and check her out. Let me go through and give her a follow so I can see what are the different things that she's up to as well. So those are a couple of different things that I want to leave you guys with as it relates to just growing on social media. More is making sure that you really stand out. I feel like social media content creation, we're kind of entering that season where it is starting to get saturated. I don't think that it will ever get oversaturated because we are all content creators. We may not all be influencers, but we are all content creators, right? So I don't think that it can get oversaturated. But since it is getting saturated, brands have more options, right? People have more options. And since people have more options as it relates to who they follow, who they like, who they know, and who they trust, you want to make sure that you are always top of mind for these people. So my biggest takeaway and my biggest thing that I want to leave you guys with today as it relates to you growing and trying to thrive on social media, especially as it relates to just hitting it on the top of the head for these next couple months in 2024, is you need to go through and figure out a way. How can I become extremely consistent? I call it crazy consistency. I write it on the top of my calendar and my planner whenever I do my content planning all the time. It's crazy consistent. And you also want to make sure that you are crazy when it comes to standing out on social media as well. Your number one priority every time you post is, how can I stop the scroll? How can I get people to gravitate towards who I am? And how can I get them to stay? Right? You want them to stay. That's the easiest way to get your followers and to build your following, is to, how can I get these people to stay? It's literally in the term follow, right? It's to follow you. How can I get them to stay with me? How can I get them to follow me? How can I get them to know me and to like me and to trust me? I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.